So this is the insertion of the quick set. So the items that you need are your pump, your reservoir already filled, which we've been through previously, the quick set itself, and then the insertion device. So the first thing is to get the quick set out of its packaging. So you can see on the back, just peels out. Inside you have a cover for when you disconnect from the set. We'll deal with that at the end. You have a P-cap end, the tubing, and then the actual cannula housing. So if we take the taping off just to release the tubing. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is put the reservoir into the P-cap, and as you'll see, it's a three-step process. You just apply a little bit of pressure, then you require a quarter turn, and it will fall in, and then you need another quarter turn, and you will hear it click into place. So it's pressure, quarter turn in, then another quarter turn to hear it click, to know that it's in. Once we got to this stage, we need to then load the reservoir into the pump. So if we get the pump, the first thing to do is get the light on, and then press the act button to get into the main menu, then down to reservoir and set, press act, then to reservoir and reservoir setup, press act, and then if you were connected to the body, this is the time where it's telling you to disconnect the infusion set and take out the reservoir out of the pump. Obviously this doesn't have in, but that's important that you do that step. Then you press act, and that will then start to rewind the piston all the way back so it's ready to load the new reservoir. So once it said rewind complete, and now it's time to place and lock the reservoir in. So you can see the reservoir just goes in, and then it just turns nice and gently, and you'll feel that it clicks into place, and you'll notice that the end of plastic bit that's protruding is in parallel with the battery cap. So once that's in place, then press act, and it asks you, are you disconnected from the body? Which you are. So at this point now, you're going to keep your finger on the act button until you start to see drops come out of the tubing. So I'm going to keep my finger on the act button, and this is moving the piston up towards the reservoir, and you'll see now the drops will start to come out. So it's worth just keeping your finger on just for a few seconds to make sure that there's definitely the drops coming out, and that any air that was at the top of the reservoir is now out. So once it's done, it says press escape when done, and then it asks again, did you see drops at the end of the tubing? Which you did. So yes. And then this is the part to connect the infusion set to the body. So you can put the pump down. So now we're ready to attach the infusion set to the body. So you can see the cannula housing has a blue part protruding at the back, and that fits into the insertion device. So you can see that just pops in nicely there. And then once at this part, you can see that there's two tapes that we need to remove. So an easy way is just to have a finger on the bottom and then your thumb on the top there, and you can see you can just remove there. You can remove them both just to get the adhesives. That one can be a little bit tricky. You can see there. So you can see the plaster is out. And the next step is to push the cannula housing to the bottom, and the easiest way is just to keep hold of the blue and push down so you hear it click into place. And you can see now it's all in place and ready to be inserted. The final bit is to take the blue cap off, which just requires a little twist, and you can see now the needle. Okay, so the next part is for the insertion, so I'm just going to hold the pump. So if you choose your area, which I'm going to choose the abdomen, you can press your pump down, is you're just going to rest this area onto the abdomen, and then you can see there's one white plastic part there, and on the opposite side another one, and those are the two parts that once on the area you're going to squeeze together to insert the cannula. So if we get it on the area, now just going to press the two white parts together, and once it's fired you count to 5, and then the last and most important part is that there's just a little release button here that you press down and you'll feel it click, and that's to release the insertion part. So then when you take it off, it's taken out. The next part is to remove the needle. So if you just hold by the plaster and then pull off at 90 degrees, and then you'll see that there's a needle still, and to make sure we get rid of that, you can just bend over the cap and click that into place. Then that needs to go into the sharp spin. So the final part to do is you've taken the needle out, which has left a small little bit of cannula that requires filling, is to fill the cannula. So it's to press the ACT button. Now for the quick set, if it is a 6mm, then that requires filling at 0.3, but if it was a larger one, at a 9mm cannula, you would need 0.5. But you'll see this one was a 6mm, so requires 0.3. You press ACT, and then that will deliver the final part, and that will be then, you'll be now up and running, and that's the quick set completed.